Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace, and I've been making videos today about people doing what they're calling food bank, or food banks, some call them food, what are they called? But food bank hauls. I'll get it out here in a minute, maybe. And they are showing what they get at food banks. So, my original channel I started almost 11 years ago. It'll be 11 years old in August. It's June right now, June 17th, 2025, and it's 5:21 p.m. And all I knew before then was that I'd had a YouTube account before I ever used them. I didn't know about, all I knew was that they were music and how to speak a new language, how to fix your car or something like that. But anyway, so it's going to be 11 years, and all this time I had never really seen food pantries, some call them, and food banks. You know, I'm wanting to know that, think of them as pantries, but no food banks, you know, like at a church, or, you know, churches donate to this kind of thing, for people who are in need, and their families, if they have families. If not, it's just them, like, you know, people who are elderly, on fixed incomes, don't have the money to buy groceries quite often, often enough, or a good enough for them for whatever help. Like me, I'm anemic. I have enough money to buy groceries, so I'm not one going to food pantries, food banks at all. So I have in my past. Oh yes, I was by myself, and I needed to go. It was awful. Well, I would say what's left over, and what I'm learning, I should jump ahead a little bit. What I'm learning by watching some of these is that some people know when to go, and they go and they get as much as they can of the good stuff. And that's the feeling I had. It was, I don't know how many years ago, decades maybe, that it was just stuff that was left over, like expired food, especially a lot of bread, a lot of different types of bread, you know, like come from bakeries, like, you know, stores that have their own bakery, and then they don't sell it, so they give it away, this kind of thing, and they were expired. And I would think that some of them probably had mold on them. And it was a rich area, wealthy kind of building, wealthy, rich area, a nice new building, place, all that. But where was the food? I mentioned before that it seemed like somebody must have known somebody or some people who would like to go hunting. So the meat was deer meat. That it was obvious it came from somebody who went hunting. Okay, this was supposed to be well organized. It was bad. Oh, they're not still like that. I don't know. Like I said, it was possibly decades ago. I don't really remember. I was by myself. It was a long story, but anyway. And I had health issues. I have disabilities, but I'm not on disability. I have a rare health condition. That is it. And I used to mention, I don't anymore, but I've always, you know, there were times when I should have asked somebody for help, and when Adam and I weren't together, and I should have asked him, you know. So, but anyway, I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to get bogged down in past on each video, and I don't like when I do that. But I've been watching these, you know, trying to watch a few. I don't want to jump to too many conclusions, because You might find one, you say, well, I get it, they really need help. And I've just found one that, I found more than one. But it was obvious they weren't out there just to, go get some food and make a YouTube video and see if they can make money off of that. Another gig work, No, and they weren't going out, it was obvious they weren't going out just to get the good stuff. Get as much as good, good stuff they can, because the stuff that some of them were getting was not good, in my opinion. Yeah, so I remember I've been there, done that, and it's something that, especially like if a person, other type of people, children, a lot of children, some people seem that all they want to do is, I've seen several people now, okay, not just one or two, but some of the people seem like they really want to have for their children is a bunch of snacks, and or they get the stuff that they need to make their own snacks. They get snacks, and then they get to make snacks for their kids. Where is the planning for the healthy meals for their children? And I'm going to be judgmental about this, especially hearing, I think somebody needs to be a voice on the other side too. Like the side that I'm saying, that this is wrong. Taking money from people, taking food from babes, which is basically what it is, from babies, from kids, from toddlers, from kids in school. Just so they can do, like some actually say, they're getting all this food so they don't spend their own money on food. They want to save that up for other stuff that families need. Well, when you're watching them do their food hauls, their food bank hauls, and they show their hands, you see the nails are painted, you see the rings on their fingers, the nice watch, new technology. Yeah. And in my mind, I'm sitting there going, oh man, those poor kids that need that food, that are, malnutritioned, undernutritioned, whatever. I don't know, that used to be, they used to have used those terms. Both, I am not a voice of authority on it. I don't know what it would be today. I don't remember the difference, but yeah. Because they can't, their parents, maybe they're working, barely making ends meet, barely making minimum wage. Some places won't pay some people less. If they could, they would. By the way, one time when I was, like I said, I would have a rare health condition. They considered me as disabled. They told me that they could pay me under, this was decades ago, they could pay me under minimum wage because I was disabled. That, from what I understand, is no longer the case, but you never know these days. But anyway, I'm kind of all over because I'm just now starting to, I'm usually all over the place, but because I'm just now sitting there, and I think I'm in awe, not awe, but shocked that some people have the nerve that they have. And like I said, somebody needs to be on this side saying, no, I'm not buying your BS. You're saying, oh, but, some of us, we have some, what do they call it, food insecurities or something. They're not getting enough, of what, is needed. What I would think would be the nutritionist diet or whatever. Like I said, I'm not a voice of authority on that, so I could be wrong on all this, but that's because they want to spend their money on these things like I was mentioning. And they have nice houses, this and that, and yes, and you can say, well, you're being awful judgmental. Well, when you hear people saying some of the stuff that they're saying to justify going out and getting so much, unbelievable amount of food, when they're saying things like both of them are working, they're not saying both of them are earning minimum wage. No, they can't be earning minimum wage living in the homes that they live in. They wouldn't be able to be funded for them. and buying the furniture and buying the stuff like that. I was not born yesterday. In fact, my master's degree is in sociology. So, I'm not social work, but was not born yesterday. But some people, they're going to hear it, and they're going to say, oh yeah, I'm going to side with him. And they're going to they just go around and round and round. And then you run across people who are certainly needing it. And you, like I said earlier, you see what they get for food. Oh, this is what is oh my goodness. And they have a bunch of kids. And some of the fruits and vegetables, I can tell you I wouldn't use them. You know, I've lived a frugal life myself. I had to when I was younger. I had to live frugal lifestyle for most of my life. You know, I had to live. It's from an adult. I got married when I was 18, so hey, I had to live a frugal lifestyle. Now I don't, but I still do, to a degree. I'm kind of loosening up the past, few years, but overall, no. I live a frugal life. I don't see, but I do see, like I have a nutritionist now because of a health condition come up this year, heart failure. I complained for 2 years. April was 2 years. I made some complaints to going to hospitals and so forth, and telling them, and crickets. They wouldn't focus on it, on and on and on. It was unbelievable. And it was, that. Plus I'm anemic. Nobody told me that either. It's a bit of a mess, but I am so much better now. They got me on the right stuff so far, for my health condition. Okay, I am all over the place with this. I think it's because I am so just, what despicable people to go out there, and they're making, some of them have 2 jobs each. Each parent has 2 jobs, and then they're going to go to food banks so they can, have that extra stuff in case. Oh, and I want to fill my freezer with the meat that I get. There are people out there, they need that. And you're going to put it in your freezer? There are people who need that now, have kids, or, like I said, people on Social Security or disability, whatever. They need that, but you're going to hoard it. And make sure, and some even won't even mention knowing when to go to get the good stuff. Getting tipped off, tipped that, hey, this is the time we're, go here at this time. That kind of thing too. And then I go right back to that thought. There are kids out there. There are elderly people out there. There are disabled people out there. They need this stuff. What you having your jewelry, your makeup, your hair done, your new shirts every season, your fingernails. I already said that, didn't I? Your whatever, your glam or your whatever. That's more important than them eating. We live in a world, by the way, and I'm well aware of it. I was so shocked when I saw this. Okay, and I say shocked as if I actually was shocked. I really am not. To some degree on some things. But when, they say that you don't shame people anymore. And man, there's so much against people, anybody who says these words. Shame on you for doing that. There is so much that the person who says that others go, oh, look at her. She dared to say, shame on you for doing something so despicable. You can't say shame anymore to somebody who's doing something that is harmful to other people. who is filled with so much greed, because to them it's all about them. They want that jewelry, they want that, the makeup, the hair, the, new clothes, like I said, each season. I'm saying it over and over on purpose. So other people, well, that's just their problem. I had started saying, this about the ones working 2 jobs, and, the parents can't get to the food bank in time, and what's left over when it's there is so pathetic. They're sad. Their kids might not eat that meal. They might not eat for the next until the food bank's open again. A week, 2 weeks, a month, whenever. Because those people who are the ones who have what they need, they just want to have all the extras. Went and got all the stuff. Don't dare tell me that there's going to be enough left over for them. You don't know that. Or play the I have a disabled child card. No, definitely wouldn't put that down in front of me. Because there are people who are adults too, not because of, but some of us may have have our own, or grew up with somebody who was disabled, couldn't take care of themselves, still can't to this day. So some people are going to try to say, well, I have a disabled child. Lots of people have disabled children, or children with some severe, well, just to say disabled children. But some will use that as an excuse for them to do this when they really don't need to. And I know that's being judgmental. So I am, I'm going to give to start watching to see, is this true? Is this not? And people still say that's judgmental. Well, when they're throwing out there, hey, this is how it is, and showing that they have other things they want to spend their money, and flat out saying that they have other things they want to spend their money on instead of groceries for their kids, for themselves and their kids. They don't want to spend their money on that. They can go get that, and they'll call it free food. But the other stuff is what they want to use for their vacations, and or add in their vacations now, or their technology. You don't need a $2,000 or plus, I don't even know how much they are these days, cell phone. You don't need that. Guess what? A lot of us lived a life without them. And I know you're afraid, you're going to be driving down the road and your car's going to, your car's going to die, and what are you going to do? Well, what did we do back then? Well, we did have pay phones, but I could see that. But does it require a $2,000, $2,500 phone? Nope. And how many of them need it? Do all your kids need phones like that? And I really am going to, pay attention, because this is what I went to school for. Seriously. Oh my goodness, to talk about the ills of the societies and what can be changed. I'm not going to give anybody any form of advice. I don't do that. Suggestions, none of that. But this is wrong when people justify basically taking food, it's an expression, out of the mouths of babes, kids, so they can buy their new technology. They go and take their vacation, and they find ways to justify that. And shame on you if you shame on them. Seriously, that is kind of funny. You dare to say shame on you for doing that? Well, shame on you for saying that. Really. There needs to be more than that. By the way, when I was a student, my degrees are in psychology and sociology. I studied to become a counselor. When I was a student, I was a career student for 20 years. This When somebody could not feel remorse, guilt, or shame, either or, and or. You know what those were classified as? Psychopaths. When they could not feel any remorse for what they've done, guilt, or shame. I said that word right, although I gave it a long text and drawl. Shame, remorse, guilt, or shame. And now you have people saying, oh, you should not shame people. You should not just say, shame on you. You're taking money from children. And money, I keep saying money, I mean food. But it's the same thing, from their parents. You're taking food away from them. You're taking food away from elderly, disabled, anybody who doesn't have money to eat, to buy groceries. Have you ever gone a night even with your stomach empty? Have you wound up going to a hospital because the world is moving around, not in just circles, but all over the place because you didn't have enough food? I have. Yeah. I have. Decades ago, like I said. I was by myself. Yep. Uh-oh. Okay, I saw some movement to the left of me, and it literally was a squirrel moment. It was a squirrel. It was jumping from tree limb, I guess, to tree limb. But anyway. I don't know. I think I'm going to be on this kick because, you know, times are tough. And someone will say that. Times are real tough out there. You know, like they're going to start justifying. And some say times are tough these days, that we just don't have the money. And they don't. Okay? And then, but some of them, they hear. This is something I have seen in these almost 11 years, is that the people, I have seen this in my lifetime, okay? The people who really are people who need help, you know, it can be just for the moment. They just lost their job. They're in between jobs. They're good for getting another job, and then they're back on their feet and this kind of thing. Or, you know, people who have children that, people who really need this. What they say, the words they use, these, what would you even call them? Along the line of con artists, scammers, grifters. What name would they fall under? But yeah, you know, they take the words from the people who are actually needing this and use those same words. And one of the words I noticed today that they say, well, one base word is say it in different ways, like such a blessing. Let me show you my blessings of today. My blessings from today's food bank haul. Blessing, blessed, we're blessed. Blessing. They do that. I have noticed that people who are the actual grifters and e-beggars and so on, they'll do that too. They'll talk about that they're Christian. They'll take out their Bible and act like they're reading it, or some kind of Bible study, adult Bible study kind of thing. Play the music, play the whatever to get their audience to think, you know, oh, they're Christians. Some are Christians, but you see what I'm saying? They take from those who are real people, really needing help, really are Christians, really are. They take those and use those words, use those things, so they can get money, make money, get their audience to give them fund them. You know, however way, whatever social media platform, is not just one. You know, however they can get the people to give them money. You know, then they show back up. You know, with their hair done, their makeup, their new clothes. And I took a spa day because I needed it. It was too much stress for me, this kind of thing. This is what I've been noticing. I mean, I've done this, that part, you know, with the e-beggars and grifters, or whatever they're calling them these days. Charlatans. Some of them are different things. I've been doing those like once every year. I'll go through a phase, something will come up, you know, recommended, and she's off. I've been doing it ever since like I said, since I started. And then this is, I've just been doing this, and then here it came up. The whole thing of people, and these are funded quite often by churches or people who are, I know here, some of the things, it's not just food bank. I don't know about food banks these days, okay, here. I don't know what they're doing. But there are other services here for help for people, like people who don't have health insurance. I have really good health insurance now. Didn't then, but yeah, so they provide things like for health, you know, they do that. Okay. Anyway, I just got distracted. Big, huge, I don't know what it was. Maybe a dragonfly? I don't know. Just flew and right in front of me. I'm in my SUV. I have to come out here these days it's once or twice a day. For some reason, I have to come outside and have different air. Basically, that's what it sums up as, different air. Really, the house, it seems like it's too humid, you know. So it's a big house, but still it feels too, like it's too thick. Okay, but anyway, you know, I was saying this about, in the videos I've done today, I was saying, you know, like it's something kind of, it is new to me, the whole thing of doing, you know, seeing people doing these as haul videos, and doing those. At the same time, not, because I've seen them mixed in with some people making videos. I don't know if it goes back years. I really don't know. But like when they do their, you know, like cooking, they do some kind of cooking, and they might have mentioned that, or do mention. I know one of them did, but I don't know. So maybe it is new to me, but not new to me, I guess. But anyway, so I don't know. Maybe after this, you know, after I've thrown out a bunch of stuff like this, maybe I'll make more sense. But I don't know. It's like it just hit me so hard. I cannot stop thinking about the kids that, you know, you get a mental image of starving kids. That's just, or elderly people, or disabled people, or anybody starving, and the other people are out there taking advantage of it. But just that image of a kid starving, oh, and all that. Oh. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. Talk to you on another video. Bye. Hey everybody, this is Grace. In this video, I'm going to talk about food banks. Now, I did not know that it seems to be a thing that's maybe it's been happening, I don't know how long, I just didn't know it existed, of people doing food bank hauls, H-A-U-L-S, where they show what they got at the food bank, and for them and or their family. I've checked out a few, and I have a lot I want to say about that. Really do. I did not know it was a thing until yesterday. Really, overall, I mean, I've seen some had popped up before, or people talked about going to a food bank, but I didn't know it was a thing that, you know, like, people go to shopping in Dollar Tree. I remember when I first started on YouTube, it was almost 11 years ago. 11 years ago. It'll be in August. The only thing that I knew, I did not know even that people were doing Dollar Tree hauls. I didn't know why they were called. I mean, doesn't take a genius to figure out what the hauls mean, but it was like, huh, really? I can do that, and that's how I started. I just thought YouTube was music and how-to videos. I think I had a YouTube channel. I didn't never made videos on it, but starting off when YouTube started off. But all I thought it was, like I said, music and then how-tos videos, how to fix your car or something like that. Or speak a new language, that kind. Or learn a new language, this kind of thing. Anyway, then I saw one day that I saw these people doing the Dollar Tree. So, but people going into food banks and doing haul videos, and just for the record, some of them, they're not, well, like I said, I want to do a video on that, or 2, or 10, or 20. I think this is my new thing, because I just made one actually. I had thought of this, of doing something, a video, just a hypothetical fictional kind of story, and I just made that one, and then make a few comments on it. But no, I did not know this was I have a feeling it's going to be. I've checked out, I've seen several people doing them, so anyway, we'll see. Okay, just for the fun of it, I looked up the AI overview, the AI overview of food banks. And it says food banks primarily help individuals and families who are experiencing food insecurity. I guess that's what they call it these days. Meaning they lack consistent access to adequate food. This can include people of all ages and backgrounds, including those who are low income, experiencing temporary crisis, or facing other challenges that impact their ability to purchase groceries. Okay, who specifically benefits from food banks? They have a few titles. Individuals and families with low incomes, people facing temporary crises, children, seniors, people experiencing homelessness, people with disabilities, and various community members. And it breaks each one of them down, such as individuals and families with low incomes. Food banks provide a crucial safety net for those struggling to make ends meet and afford basic necessities like food. Okay, basic necessities. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I remember it was simply this. They changed it since then, or added more, but we learned it as food, clothing, shelter. Okay, you got to be able to meet those: food, clothing, shelter. And a lot of people can't meet them. Okay, let's go on from there. Let's see, where was that next? People facing temporary crises, like events like job loss, unexpected medical bills, or natural disasters can lead to food insecurity. Food banks offer assistance during these challenging times. Children. Food banks often have programs focused on children, such as school pantries or backpack programs, to ensure they have access to nutritious food. Seniors. Many food banks have specific programs to address the needs of older adults who may face challenges accessing food due to health issues or fixed incomes. People experiencing homelessness. Food banks and other partner organizations often work with shelters and other agencies to provide meals and groceries to individuals experiencing homelessness. Okay, people with disabilities. Food banks can help individuals with disabilities who may have limited mobility or other challenges that make it difficult to access food. Variety, computer moved by itself. Okay. Various community members. Food banks support a wide range of community organizations like schools, soup kitchens, and shelters, which in turn provide services to people in need. In essence, food banks act as a vital link in the food system, ensuring that food reaches those who need it most, regardless of their specific circumstances. This is people who need the food they can receive, not people who want to just save their money for other things, like going on vacation or buy some new clothes so they can look good, or get some new jewelry or tattoos, new hairstyle, new fingernails. No, those are not necessities. Well, clothing is a necessity, but if you have something you can wear those, for years. You don't just have to wear them for 3 months and then throw them away. So, anyway, just wanted to put that out there.